Welcome back now to our next conversation. Well, agriculture is an important engine of growth and poverty reduction, but the sector is underperforming in many countries on the African continent. Well, we've been celebrating women all through the week. Let's get a sense of women participation in agriculture in Africa. We have Jennifer Barn, Acting Managing Director, African Green Revolution Forum, joining us on the program. Great to have you.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on the program. Greetings from Kigali.
Yeah, greetings from Lagos. So that's great to have you. Well, can you paint a picture of women's participation in agriculture on the African continent?
So women's participation is, of course, very critical when it comes to our food security, both in terms of production as well as in terms of nutrition, right, and consumption, because still a significant part of our farmers are women. According, for example, to the World Economic Forum, they're estimating that 70% of the produce worldwide is being produced by women. And when you look at fruits and vegetables today, that number is actually even higher. But then again, women also play a critical role in the kitchen and the diets and the food that we eat. So if you want to transform and revolutionize how we produce food, if you want to transform how we're having more access to affordable and nutritious food, women are the place to start.
Right. And what do you think can be done to, encourage more women participation with agriculture on the continent?
I think it's not just a matter of participation. Let me just break it down what I think is really required in that sense. Despite the fact that it's playing such a critical role in food production and also consumption and the diets that have, women do not have equal access to resources, being it inputs, being it finance, also just land security or income security. And I think it's very critical. Of course, many of our farmers across the continent are under-resourced. When it comes to women, a gender imbalance also comes into play, and we need to address both generically what support services and mechanisms are we developing for our smallholder farmers, but secondly, also how do we address gender-specific issues that are hampering our women farmers from basically playing the role that they need to play. So that is one, looking at holistically at quite a number of mechanisms. I think secondly also, it has to start with leadership and prioritizing the role and equal access of women, not just in food chains, but in society in general.
All right, let's talk food security now. With geopolitical tensions right now and rising, commodity prices, what should Africa be doing, right now?
What should Africa be doing right now? In all honesty, let's just take a step back, right? I think if you look over the past couple of years, especially with the COVID pandemic, it really brought to light some of the weaknesses and fragility in our food systems, and also think just about the impact of climate change. To me, when it comes to making our food systems more resilient, it's not just about the COVID pandemic that we're just emerging from, or the war in the Ukraine, because every 1-2 years there will be another crisis that will actually bring even more challenges. And we also have just the impact of climate change, floods, droughts, increase in pests that is constantly challenging our food systems. So from that perspective, I think many of the measures, the interventions that have been designed also in the COVID pandemic are still relevant. Do we have sufficient data in terms of our food balance sheet to make informed choices and decisions? Do we have our production numbers, our stocks, etc., at hand for some of our key decision makers in the policy sphere, etc., to make the appropriate decisions? So just having access to the appropriate information and data, I think, is critical. I think secondly as well, we have to look at our production systems. Our farmers are still the ones with the lowest access to fertilizers, inputs, improved seeds, etc. And we have to start looking at sustainable mechanisms and business models to provide them with access to food. But secondly, also just connectivity and linkages to market. And I really would like to emphasize the importance of strengthening Africa's regional trade. You see some of the tendencies, and we've seen it in the 2008 food crisis as well, for governments is to retreat, and protect their own population's food security, close borders, seek all kinds of measures and interventions. I think we do have to realize that we need regional approaches and regional solutions as well. So the first starts with informed decision making, and the second is also just convening and dialogue to assess, to make sure that we know what's happening, but we put the measures in place to strengthen our food systems. Thank you.
All right. Well, we'll keep tracking to see how all of this plays out and how Africa can actually, find a way to secure food on the continent. Thank you so much, Jennifer Bond, Acting Managing Director, Africa Green Revolution Forum. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you, and see you in September in Kigali at the Green Revolution Forum.
No problem.